Hi guys, it's Promise Sebastian here again. And so I'm gonna be introducing you guys to the 7 brush you will be needing to sculpt anything here in Blender. Okay, so this is my Blender screen. I just opened Blender, so this is what you're gonna see, a box here, always the default screen here. So we'll switch over to the menu mode. I think I did introduction here on Blender, so you can check it out. We'll right click here, and then we'll see our menus here. We'll have our objects, we'll have our edit, and we'll have our sculpt mode here. So edit is for editing. You want to edit probably model, and then sculpting is for sculpting, like real life sculpting. So we want to sculpt this now. You can't sculpt with this now because it doesn't have enough faces for you to sculpt. So first we're going to delete this now. We're going to shift A to add a mesh. So we move over to mesh now, and then scroll our mouse down to single vat. And then for you to have this, you're not going to see it on your own Blender, unfortunately. But then what you have to do is head over to edit in your Blender screen here, right click on the edit, and then go to right click on preference, and then scroll down. You can search here now and search for mesh, add mesh extra object. You're going to search for it and you see it, and then you check it and make sure it's checked. And then once you shift A on your screen on object mode, and then you head over to single vat and then add a single vat, and then you could head over to the modifier here. All these things are menus here. The one that has the spanner icon is the modifier. Left click on it and then head over to the modifier here. Now place the add modifier, right click there. You have the skin modifier. All these are all modifiers, but we won't be using them. We're using the skin modifier now, so we can't sculpt this now. So the next thing for you to do is use E. So you just tap E and then grab your mouse up now, so you extrude it. So what the skin modifier does, it turns a vertex. You see, we added a single vat, so it turns this vat now to a quad shape. So it gives it a quad face shape. So that's what it does. So this is not an actual. If you go to edit mode now, you can't see this as a face, you see. So we are heading over to object mode now. So what you want to do is smoothing this so you can sculpt with it. So we are going to add another modifier. We're going to add another modifier. So we'll scroll up now and add the subdivision modifier. So what the subdivision modifier does, it takes one face and divides it to any amount. Like you can divide it to 4, 5, 6 of them to give it more faces for you to sculpt. So you can increase the level of subdivision here. You have 2 subdivision, you have simple, and here you have cut mode. Simple keeps the shape and then adds the subdivision on the face, but then this cut mode distorts the shape, but then it's gonna smoothen it for you. Well, then we're gonna increase the level of subdivision to just 3 here, so you make sure you're increasing the both of them. Okay, so we'll have our subdivision here now. So what you want to do now is apply all this now. So on each of the modifier, you have an arrow pointing down on each of the modifier menu here. So if you click on it, you have apply. Mind you, for you to apply this, you have to be in object mode. Assuming we are in edit mode, you're gonna see we can't apply this, so you have to be on object mode to apply this. So we'll switch over to object mode, and then we are going to apply all this. Right click apply, and then right click on this one, apply now. So once we switch over to sculpt mode, so you can switch over with your keys here. You can press Ctrl Tab, and then sculpt mode is 2. You head over to sculpt mode. So you could use any of the brush. Let me just use my favorite brush, which is grab now, to just grab anywhere. So another means to do this is, let's head over to object mode now. So let's delete this now, shift A and add a mesh now. So you can add a UV sphere. On default, UV sphere has many faces for you to sculpt it, so we can use Ctrl Tab 2. We head over to sculpting mode, and then we can sculpt on this. I'm using my favorite grab tool now. So these are the 2 ways you can add meshes to sculpt. Okay, so we have added the UV sphere. So for the sake of this tutorial, let's use this UV sphere. So what you want to note on these brushes, on these 7 brushes, is the smooth default key. So any brush you have checked now, any brush you are using, once you click shift now and then use the brush on the face 6 or on the mesh you are sculpting, is going to smoothen it automatically. But then for you to sculpt, there are different sculpts. You have high poly sculpt, you have low poly sculpt. High poly sculpt are sculpts that have a lot of faces here now. So let me add the subdivision modifier or multi-resolution modifier. Okay, so this is the multi-res modifier. You'll be needing it to sculpt anything. So let's subdivide on this and subdivide and subdivide. So once you see it's very smooth now, you have small of this edge. This is high poly now. If we didn't add this this modifier is kind of giving us a high poly on a low poly mesh, is what the modifier does. So once you have this on your edit mode and it's like this, you are sculpting a high poly. So this is edit mode. You see the mesh is intact now. This is a low poly, but then with the help of this modifier, thanks to Blender, we are sculpting high poly. Once you have the multi-resolution off, you can sculpt on any low res mesh and then increase it to high res. So you see we're going to be getting smooth sculpt now on this. So we are going to use our default shift and then smoothing all this now. So my subdivision level of this multi-resolution modifier, it's on your modifier menu. This is all the modifier, multi-resolution. Look at it, multi-resolution. So you have a level of 2 here. All these are all functions. Now what you just need to do is just check all this to any level you feel like. In any level you increase, will smoothen it the more. So we are in 2 now, so we're just smoothing all this out now. So then first brush I'm going to be talking about is a draw brush here. This draw brush kind of brings out faces here. So this is a face. It kind of brings out the mesh. Like you can use it to sculpt an eye, or you can use it to sculpt a mouth on this now. So that is what the first draw brush does. Okay, so here you have some menus here which you need to note. All these are all important, but then I'm going to be talking about these 4. 1 2 3 4. Here is kind of a symmetry. So once you check this now, if you're sculpting this side, it's kind of, look at the symmetry. Our symmetry is kind of facing Y. So if you have your symmetry on Y, you see it's kind of sculpting this other side. So if I'm sculpting this other side, it's kind of sculpting this other side. If I put the symmetry on X now, so this is my X axis. So if I'm sculpting here now, it's going to be sculpting at the back of the mesh. So that is how, so know your axis and the symmetry you're on, so you know how to use this now. So I'm going to uncheck this now, uncheck the 2 of them. So this is the strength. Use it to increase the amount of effect the brush is going to have on the mesh. So you can reduce the effect now by reducing it, and then you can increase the radius. Another way to increase the radius is using F, then you drag back, you increase the radius. So that is it for the grab brush. So we use shift and smoothing this thing now, not the grab. That is it for the draw brush. So we are done smoothing this thing now. So we'll use the other brush here, is kind of draw again, but then this one is draw, and then it draws it inside, so it draws the mesh inward. So let's Control Z. Control Z works on Blender. So say we want to draw in an eye, so we kind of pinch this thing in now. So we use this draw to kind of pinch an eye. So Control Z and Control Z. So that is what it does. So let me pinch one of this side and pinch one of this side. Pinch this side again. Pinch. So you see this is not very smooth. So what you can do here is go over to your multi-res now. It's a modifier, so it's non-destructive. So you can cancel this and it removes everything you have here. So we're going to increase the level of subdivision. You can increase levels. If you have more levels here, if you just click on the right arrow, it increases to whatever level, but then we've not subdivided to that level. So let's subdivide to level 3 now, and then make it more smoother, so we can increase the level of view now. And then we're going to sculpt something like an eye here. Sculpt something like an eye here. Use the smooth and smoothing it and smoothing this. This is not perfect. Okay, so let's increase with F and then smoothing overall. That is for this other brush. The 2 brush are more like intertwined. But then another thing you need to note is all these brushes, you can get a reverse of them. So this is the draw brush. If I use it on this now, it's going to extrude out a face here or sculpt out a face here. But then if I use Control and then use it on the mesh, it's going to sculpt it in. So that is what all the whole brushes, it works on them. Once you use Control is like the reverse of them. So the other one, the third one, is this other one. This one now, it's called the layer brush. You use it to get layers for you to sculpt. So I've gotten a layer and I can use smooth and then smoothen the layer and then use it for whatever I want to use it for. So F. And there is awesome to sculpt hymns, like hymns you need to kind of start sculpting on. You want to heap up a mesh and then start sculpting on it. It's awesome for doing that. Then you have this inflate brush. I use this brush often. It's kind of extruded meshes in a very softened way, in a very slow manner. But then you can increase the strength and also extrude out very much well. Okay, let's shift and clean this up. So you have the other crease brush too. This one you use it for creating, most of the time you have to use it to create mouth. So let's just say we use the draw brush now, and then we kind of get a mouth for this guy, and then we kind of get a down mouth for him now. And then we use the crease brush now. We use it to kind of create an inward folding, a sharp crease inward folding now. So then you can use Control. I told you guys about the reverse of the brush. It gives you the reverse of it. Now the reverse is awesome for getting sharp edge meshes or sculpts, sharp edge sculpts. So you can see, then if I use this other brush now, this inflate, and then inflate this other side, and then inflate this other side, you see it now looks like a mouth. This is not perfect though, so this will take you time to perfect it. Okay, so you have the crease, you have, then the next brush you're going to be using, an awesome brush, I use it all the time, is the grab brush too. You have the grab brush, you use it to, you can literally use this brush to create any single thing in this sculpting mode. Most sculptors use it a lot of the time because it gives you much leverage to maneuver on your mesh. You need to grab, you can grab in and grab out and grab your mesh to anywhere you want to grab it to. So you can increase the amount of mesh you want to grab at a time. Okay, so you have the elastic deform brush. This brush is really awesome. Okay, so then you have the last one, this is elastic deform brush. This brush is awesome. So you have the grab brush now. The grab brush, if you use F and then grab this mesh now, you see it's kind of grabbing just this point now, this round circle now, the middle center is where it's grabbing. But then if you use this elastic deform now and then sculpt, it's kind of sculpts, drags the mesh that are connected to the sculpt you are trying to sculpt or drag. Okay, it drags other meshes that are connected to it alongside. So it's kind of elastic deform, as the name bears. So you can grab it in and grab it out. Another thing you need to note about these brushes are they have their short keys, like shortcut keys now. So each of the meshes you have, G is grab, I is inflate, which gives you this one. So all these brushes, you can see their shortcuts. So just use your mouse and place on them, you see their shortcuts. Okay, so guys, this is the 7 brushes you need to sculpt anything in Blender. So thanks for watching this awesome tutorial. I hope to see you guys next on my next tutorial. So thanks for watching. Hit the bell and subscribe button for my next video coming up next. See you guys.